I'm holding a coat that costs more than I made last month, and the woman who threw it at my face just walked away without looking back. It's 2 o'clock in the morning at the Platinum Lounge, and I'm wearing all black so I blend into the walls. The music is so loud I can feel it in my chest. But I'm not here to dance. I'm here because 3 years ago I owned a place better than this one, and the woman who just threw her coat at me is the reason I lost everything. Her name is Victoria Chun. She walks like she's floating, like gravity doesn't apply to rich people. Tonight she's wearing a cream-colored coat that probably costs what I pay for 6 months of rent in my tiny apartment. She didn't hand me the coat. She threw it. It hit me in the shoulder, and I caught it because after 3 years of doing this job, catching things is automatic. You wrinkled the sleeve last time, she says without looking at me. She's staring at her reflection in the dark window near the DJ booth, checking her teeth. If you damage the lining tonight, I'll make sure they take it out of whatever they pay you. Tips, minimum wage, whatever. I don't say anything back. I just take the coat and attach a claim ticket to it. Number 777. Lucky numbers for some people, I guess. Not for her, though. Not tonight. Before I tell you how I bought this entire building out from under her feet, I need you to do something. Hit the subscribe button right now. I'm serious. What I'm about to explain involves lawyers, shell companies, and the kind of revenge that takes years to pull off. You'll want to know when the legal updates come through. Trust me on this. 3 years ago, I wasn't checking coats. I was the owner. My place was called the Glass House, and it was 2 blocks east of here. We had crystal chandeliers, velvet booths, and a membership list that people waited months to get on. We didn't let just anyone walk through our doors. We had standards. We cared about how people treated our staff. If you were rude to the servers, you didn't get invited back. Simple as that. Victoria tried to join as a member. She filled out the application, paid the fee, and showed up expecting to be approved automatically because her husband runs a tech company. But I reviewed every application personally, and I saw the notes from other clubs. She had a reputation. She snapped at servers. She sent back drinks for fun. She treated people like furniture. So I denied her application. She stared at me like I had just insulted her entire family. "Do you understand who my husband is?" she said. Her voice was quiet but sharp, like a knife you don't see coming. "I don't care if your husband runs the whole city," I told her. "Our standards apply to everyone. You're not approved." She didn't yell. She didn't make a scene. She just smiled a little bit, turned around, and left. That should have been the end of it. But that was my mistake. I didn't understand how much time rich people have to destroy you when you hurt their pride. 2 weeks later, things started going wrong. Small things at first. A blog that covered nightlife in the city posted a blind item about a club that was rumored to be involved in suspicious financial activity. They didn't name us directly, but everyone knew what they meant. The blogger's biggest advertiser? Victoria's husband's company. Then the corporate events dried up. Technova Corporation had been booking our VIP section every Friday for company parties. $75,000 a year, guaranteed. One day they just canceled. No explanation. When I called to ask why, the assistant said, "Mr. Chun has decided to work with venues that better represent our company values." Values? The man whose company got sued for selling user data without permission was lecturing me about values. But the worst part came 6 weeks after I denied Victoria's membership. I was about to close on a loan that would let me expand the Glass House into the empty space next door. My investors were nervous but ready to sign. Then the fire marshal showed up. Not for a routine inspection. For an emergency investigation based on what he called a credible anonymous tip about safety violations. There were no violations. My emergency exits were clearly marked. My capacity limits were posted and followed. My kitchen was cleaner than a hospital. But the inspector walked through with a clipboard, frowning at everything, and then put a bright orange sticker on my front door. Closed by order of fire marshal. Pending investigation. 96 hours. That's how long we were shut down. In the nightlife business, that's a death sentence. People see that orange sticker and they assume you're dangerous, dirty, breaking rules. The sticker comes off, but the reputation never does. My investors pulled out the next morning. One of them, a guy I'd known since I first started in this business, called me from his car. "Rachel, I believe in you, but the word going around is that you're on some kind of list. The Chen family is telling everyone you're under investigation by the government. We can't touch that." I stood in my empty club that afternoon. The emergency lights were on, making everything look gray and dead. I had $300 in my business account and enough debt to bury me for the rest of my life. The bank took the building. Investors took the furniture. I lost my house 6 months later. I saw Victoria one time after everything fell apart. I was leaving the unemployment office, probably looking like I hadn't slept in days, wearing clothes I'd bought at a thrift store. She was coming out of an expensive boutique next door, carrying shopping bags and laughing with a friend. She saw me. Our eyes met. She didn't say anything mean. She didn't have to. She just gave me this tiny smile and a little wave, like you'd wave at a bug before you squash it. Then she got into her white Range Rover and drove away. That wave broke something inside me. Not my spirit. Something deeper. It broke the part of me that believed playing fair would protect me. It broke the part that thought karma would handle things on its own. So I made a decision. I went dark. I cut my hair short and dyed it dark brown. I stopped wearing makeup. I bought my clothes at discount stores, the kind of places where everything is under $20. I looked in the mirror and saw a completely different person. Good. That's what I wanted. Then I applied for a job at the Platinum Lounge, the place where Victoria and her husband had started spending all their time after my club closed. The place they treated like their personal kingdom. The interview was almost insulting. David, the general manager, barely looked at my resume. "You available to work holidays?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Overnight shifts?" "Yes." "You steal?"
No.
"You look familiar," he said, squinting at me. My heart jumped, but I kept my face blank. I just have one of those faces. I worked at a chain restaurant in another state. Right? Okay. You start Friday. Don't call in sick. That was 3 years ago. For 3 years I've checked coats. I've cleaned up spilled drinks.
Even moped bedrooms.
I've listened to Victoria tell her friends stories about how she helped clean up the city's nightlife scene by getting rid of that trashy place that was lowering property values. She says it right in front of me. She thinks I'm invisible. She thinks staff don't have ears or memories or feelings. One time, about 2 years into this job, I was restocking toilet paper in the women's bathroom. Victoria and her friend came in, both of them drunk on expensive martinis. They didn't check the stalls. They just started talking. God, shutting down that club was so much work, Victoria said, touching up her lipstick. So many phone calls, so many favors. But it was worth it. You should have seen her face when the inspectors showed up. She looked like she was going to cry. I was in the stall next to them, holding a roll of toilet paper so tight the cardboard inside crumpled in my hands. She confessed. Right there. Right in front of me. And she had no idea. That night, I went home to my studio apartment and I started planning. Not revenge. That's too emotional. I started planning a business acquisition. I still had connections. 2 of my old investors had also been burned by Marcus Chun, Victoria's husband, in a completely separate business deal. They hated him. When I reached out, they were interested. We met at a diner at 4 in the morning, the kind of place where the coffee tastes like dirt but nobody asks questions. I don't want to compete with the Platinum Lounge, I told them. I want to buy it. They're not selling, one investor said. They don't have to want to sell, I said. The company that owns the building is drowning in debt. They overextended in Las Vegas right before the market crashed. They're desperate. We buy the debt, we buy the liquor license distributor, we buy the property lease. Then we own everything they need to operate. And then I evict them from their own kingdom. They looked at each other. Then they looked at me. Then they smiled. We created a shell company, something boring and forgettable. RLM Holdings, registered in Delaware, buried under layers of corporate paperwork that would take a forensic accountant weeks to untangle. To anyone looking at it, we were just another real estate investment group. But I knew what RLM really stood for. Rachel's long memory. While Victoria complained about the temperature of her drinks and the thread count of the napkins, I was learning everything about how the Platinum Lounge operated. I knew which distributor supplied their alcohol. I knew who held the mortgage on the building. I knew the names of every LLC and holding company in the ownership chain. I read financial statements the way Victoria read fashion blogs. And I found the cracks. Metropolitan Entertainment Holdings, the parent company, was bleeding money. They'd opened 3 clubs in Vegas right before tourism collapsed. They were behind on payments. They were looking to sell assets quietly, before anyone noticed they were in trouble. I saw the notice buried in a corporate filing. Intent to liquidate non-core assets. That's business language for we're selling everything we can before we drown. I pulled out my phone right there, standing in the coat check closet at 2 a.m, and I sent a message to my silent partners. Green light. Execute. Upstairs, I could hear Victoria laughing. That same sharp, glass-breaking laugh. She was at her usual table, the elevated booth in the corner that gave her a view of the whole club. She was leaning close to some guy who definitely wasn't her husband, running her hand down his arm. Service here has really gone downhill, she announced loudly, making sure everyone could hear. Ever since they started hiring people from failed businesses. No standards anymore. She meant me. She knew I could hear her. She said things like that every week. It was part of her routine. She needed to remind me that she won and I lost. I hung up her coat with extra care, smoothing out every wrinkle. Enjoy it while you can, I whispered to the empty room. For hours pass and the Tokyo stock market opens. Somewhere on the other side of the world, a shell company I registered 18 months ago triggers a purchase order that nobody will notice until it's too late. The company is called RLM Holdings, and as of 6 a.m., it owns the debt on this building. That means I own the debt. That means everyone in this club right now, including Victoria Chun, is dancing on property I control. But I'm not revealing that yet. Not tonight. Tonight I have to finish my shift. I have to keep playing the part of the invisible staff member who takes abuse and says nothing. Victoria is still here. She never leaves early. She treats this place like her second home, maybe her first home. I don't think she actually likes her mansion. There's nobody there to watch her perform. Her drink orders are impossible. She doesn't order drinks because she's thirsty. She orders them to test people. Tonight she wants vodka and soda with 3 limes, a splash of cranberry in a tall glass, no ice, wait actually some ice but not too much ice, and definitely no straw because straws are for children. Jason, the bartender, is 23 years old and working his way through college. He makes the drink exactly how she ordered it. He brings it to her table personally. She takes one sip, makes a face like he just handed her poison, and says, "Is it hard?" Jason doesn't understand the question. "Is what hard, ma'am?" "Following basic instructions," Victoria says. She's smiling, but it's the kind of smile that makes your stomach hurt. "Is it hard to make a simple drink? Or is this why you're behind the bar and I'm on this side?" Jason's face turns red.
I'm sorry.
"I can remake it." No, Victoria says, waving her hand. "It's fine. I'll drink it. It's not what I wanted, but I'll manage." She reaches into her purse and pulls out a dollar bill. She folds it into an origami swan, takes her time making it perfect, and then hands it to Jason. "For your art classes." Jason takes it because he doesn't know what else to do. He walks away, and I can see his hands shaking. I'm watching all of this from my post at the coat check. I have a small window that gives me a view of the whole main floor. I've been watching for 3 years, taking notes, documenting everything. An hour later, Victoria's husband arrives. Marcus Chun, the CEO of Technova Corporation. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than Jason makes in 3 months. He doesn't wait in line. He doesn't check in with the host. He just walks straight to the VIP section like he owns the place. As he passes my counter, he hands me his umbrella. It's raining outside, so the umbrella is dripping wet. He doesn't hand it to me carefully. He just lets go of it in the general area near my body, assuming I'll catch it. I do catch it because after 3 years, catching things people drop is automatic. Dry it, he says. Not could you dry this or when you have time. Just dry it. Like I'm a machine he's programming. Right away, Mr. Chun, I say. My voice is flat, empty. He stops walking. He turns and looks at me, really looks at me, for the first time in 3 years. Do I know you? My heart slams against my ribs, but I keep my face blank. I don't think so, sir. He squints at me. You remind me of someone. A woman who used to run someplace downtown. Had the same eyes. What was her name? He snaps his fingers, trying to remember. Morrison. Rachel Morrison. She ran this dump called the Glass House. Thought she was better than everyone. Probably in rehab now. He walks away before I can respond. Not that I would respond.
I'm furniture.
Furniture doesn't talk back. I stand there holding his wet umbrella. Water drips onto my shoes, soaking through the cheap canvas. A dump. My club was featured in design magazines. My club had a waiting list 6 months long. My club was a sanctuary. I take the umbrella to the back room. I don't dry it. I open it fully and leave it sitting open in the utility sink. Opening umbrellas indoors is bad luck. Let's see if that's true. Then I pull out my phone. Not to scroll through social media. I'm logged into a private server that gives me access to county property records. Every real estate transaction in the city gets filed with the county clerk's office. Most people don't know you can access these records if you pay for a subscription. Costs $40 a month. Best investment I ever made. I search for the Platinum Lounge's address. The ownership chain appears on my screen. The building isn't owned by a person. It's owned by Metropolitan Entertainment Holdings, which is owned by a larger company, which is leveraged against loans from a private equity firm that's currently panicking about quarterly returns. I've been tracking this chain for 3 years. I know every link. I know every weak point. And 6 months ago, I saw what I was waiting for. Metropolitan Entertainment Holdings filed a notice of intent to sell commercial assets. They didn't announce it publicly. They buried it in a packet of documents meant only for shareholders. But I'm not just a coat check girl. I'm a former business owner who spent 3 years learning how to read corporate documents while eating ramen for dinner every night. I saw the filing the day it posted. I switched to my encrypted messaging app. The message from my partners is waiting. Debt purchase complete. You now control the mortgage. Liquor license transfer approved. Distributor contract signed. You own everything they need to operate. I read it 3 times to make sure I'm not hallucinating. Then I type back, understood. Begin phase 2 tomorrow. Cut the supply. I put my phone away and walk back out to the main floor. Upstairs, Victoria is standing on a couch. She's wearing heels and standing on the white leather furniture, which is against club rules, but nobody stops her. She's holding a bottle of champagne, waving it around, screaming along to a song about struggle and hard work. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. She sees me walking past her table. She looks down at me like I'm an insect. Hey, you, waitress. I stop. Yes, ma'am. Take this away. She gestures at a fruit platter on her table. There's still plenty of fruit left, barely touched. The melon tastes soggy. It tastes like poverty. Poverty has a taste now. Good to know. I'll take care of that, I say. And bring me another bottle of champagne, Victoria says. The expensive one. The one with the gold bottle. And hurry up. Stop moving like you're underwater. I take the fruit platter to the bar. I put in the order for another bottle of champagne. But then I do something else. I pull out my phone again. I log into the distributor portal. The distributor is a company called Premium Beverage Solutions. They have exclusive rights to supply alcohol to clubs in this district. It's basically a legal monopoly. As of 6 hours ago, RLM Holdings owns Premium Beverage Solutions. That means I own it. I find the Platinum Lounge's account in the system. Everything is current, no problems, automatic delivery scheduled. I click on the account settings. I change the status to credit hold. Delivery suspended. A message pops up. Are you sure? This will stop all deliveries until payment is received. I click, confirm. Within 24 hours, this club will run out of premium alcohol. No more champagne with gold bottles. No more top-shelf vodka. They'll be serving whatever cheap backup stock is sitting in the basement until they pay a reconnection fee. And I'm gonna set that fee very, very high. I grabbed the bottle of expensive champagne from behind the bar. It's one of the last bottles we have. After tonight, there won't be any more until they figure out why their delivery stopped. I bring it to Victoria's table. I open it with perfect technique, the cork coming out with a soft pop, the bubbles settling just right. I pour it into her glass. Finally, Victoria huffs. Did you have to grow the grapes yourself? You're so slow. Just making sure everything is perfect. I say. Whatever. Go get me a straw. A black one. The clear ones look cheap. I walk toward the supply closet to get a straw I don't need. As I pass the manager's office, I hear David on the phone. His voice is stressed, almost panicking. What do you mean the delivery is suspended? He's yelling into the phone. We paid the bill. We always pay on time. What new owner? What are you talking about? I slow down, pretending to check something on a shelf near his office door. A credit hold? David shouts. That's impossible. We have a private event tomorrow night. Elliot Chun is hosting a huge party. We need 50 cases of premium champagne. This is a disaster. I keep walking, but I'm smiling now. Not a big smile. Just a tiny one that nobody can see. The dominoes are falling. One by one. Exactly how I planned. I get the black straw from the supply closet. I walk back to Victoria's table and place it in her glass. About time, she mutters. I watch her take a sip. I watch her enjoy the expensive champagne that her husband's credit card is paying for. I watch her being completely unaware that everything is about to collapse underneath her. My shift ends in 10 minutes. After I clock out, I have a meeting with a locksmith at 4:30 in the morning. I'm changing the locks on the storage areas, the back offices, the utility rooms. Technically, as the new owner, I have every right to secure my property. But nobody knows I'm the new owner yet. They'll find out soon enough. I check my phone one more time. The lawyer sent me a document with a red urgent tag. I open it in the coat check room where nobody can see my screen. Property deed recorded with county. Liquor license transfer complete as of 11:47 p.m. You are the legal owner of 782 West Street, operating as the Platinum Lounge. Current operator is now your tenant under new terms. They are in violation of Lease Agreement Clause 7.3, Conduct Standards. You may proceed with termination. I close my phone and look up at the ceiling. Above me, I can hear the bass thumping, people laughing, Victoria's voice cutting through the noise, demanding something else, complaining about something else. They're dancing on my ceiling now. Soon I'll be the one holding the floor, deciding who stays and who falls through. I take off my name tag. It says Rachel Staff in plain letters. I turn it over in my hands. 3 years I've worn this tag. 3 years of being invisible. I drop it in the trash can. Tomorrow I'll need a new one. One that says owner. The liquor runs out on Saturday afternoon, 12 hours before Marcus Chen's biggest party of the year. I'm not at the club when it happens, but David calls me in a panic at 3 p.m. even though I'm not scheduled to work until evening. Rachel, we have a serious problem, he says. His voice sounds like he's been crying. The distributor cut us off. They're saying we have a credit hold, but that's impossible. Can you come in early? I need everyone here. I'll be there in an hour, I tell him. I take my time getting ready. I shower, dry my hair, and for the first time in 3 years, I put on makeup. Not a lot, just enough to look like myself again. I find my old red lipstick at the bottom of a drawer, the one I used to wear every night at the glass house. Ruby Woo. I apply it carefully, looking at myself in the mirror. The woman staring back at me isn't the scared, broken person who lost everything. She's someone who learned patience. Someone who learned that power doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it moves in silence, rearranging the pieces on the board while everyone else is distracted. I arrive at the Platinum Lounge at 4 p.m. The afternoon light makes the club look different, less magical. You can see the stains on the carpet, the scratches on the bar, the dust on the chandeliers. Without the colored lights and the loud music, it's just a room. David is in his office surrounded by papers, his phone pressed to his ear. I understand there's been a mistake, he's saying to someone. But we've been customers for 8 years. 8 years. You can't just cut us off without warning. I knock on the door frame. He looks up and waves me in, still talking on the phone. What do you mean new ownership? Who bought the company? He's scribbling notes on a pad of paper. RLM Holdings? I've never heard of them. Can I speak to someone there? No, they only communicate through email. That's insane. He hangs up and drops his head into his hands. How bad is it? I ask, sitting down across from him. Bad, he says. We have maybe 10 bottles of the expensive stuff left. Everything else is cheap backup stock from 2 years ago. Marcus Chun is hosting a party here tonight for 300 people. 300 rich people who expect top-shelf everything. If we serve them bottom-shelf alcohol, we're finished. He'll destroy us on social media. He'll tell everyone we're cheap. We'll lose every high-end client we have. Can't you buy from somewhere else? Ask. Just for tonight? The distributor has exclusive rights in this district, David says. It's in our contract. We're not allowed to buy from anyone else. If we break that rule, they can sue us. I already know all of this, of course. I wrote those contract terms myself 2 months ago when RLM Holdings purchased the distributor. But David doesn't know that. What about the credit hold? Ask. Can you pay whatever they're asking? That's the crazy part, David says. They're asking for $50,000. $50,000. As a reconnection fee. That's not a real number. That's a punishment. $50,000 is exactly the amount Victoria's actions cost me in lost revenue during my club's forced closure 3 years ago. I calculated it down to the dollar. Maybe you can negotiate, I suggest. I've been trying, David says. But they won't talk to me. They say all communication has to go through the property owner first. But our property owner is some holding company that nobody's ever heard of. I can't even find a phone number for them. He looks at me, and for a second I think he's going to figure it out. But he's too stressed to think clearly. Just do your best tonight, he says. We'll serve what we have and hope people don't notice. I leave his office and go to the staff room to change into my uniform. But I don't put it on right away. I sit on the bench and check my phone. There's a message from my lawyer. All documents filed. You have full legal authority as of 4:47 p.m. today. Proceed when ready. Not yet, I type back. Tonight. Let them have their party first. I put on my uniform and go to my post at the coat check. The club opens at 8 p.m., and by 8:30, people are already arriving for Marcus's party. It's supposed to be a celebration of a merger between Technova and some other company. Marcus is giving a speech at 10 p.m. Victoria arrives at 9 p.m. She's wearing a silver dress that catches every light in the room. She walks up to my counter and I prepare myself for the usual routine. But tonight she doesn't throw her coat. She drops it on the counter between us. I heard the club is having supply problems, she says, looking at her phone instead of at me. How embarrassing. Marcus is furious. He might pull his business from this place. Find somewhere with actual standards. That would be unfortunate, I say, tagging her coat. For you, maybe, Victoria says. You'd have to find another job. Good luck with that. She walks away, laughing at something on her phone. I hang up her coat next to all the others. 50 coats, 100 coats, 200 coats. All of them expensive. All of them belonging to people who've never worried about money for a single day in their lives. Marcus arrives 30 minutes later. He doesn't acknowledge me at all, just hands me his coat without looking and walks straight to the VIP section. I watch him climb the stairs to the elevated area where Victoria is waiting. They kiss, but it's the kind of kiss you give someone when other people are watching. For show, not for feeling. The party gets louder. The music gets heavier. David is running around trying to manage everything, apologizing to guests about the limited drink menu, making excuses. I can see the panic in his eyes every time someone asks for a specific brand we don't have. At 9:45 p.m., I take my break. But I don't go to the break room. I go upstairs to the second floor, the area that's usually locked off. I have a key now. I've had a key for 3 days, ever since the locksmith installed new locks and gave me the master set. I walk into the office that used to belong to the old owner. It's dusty, abandoned, full of boxes and old paperwork. I clear off the desk and sit down in the chair. I open my laptop and log into the building security system. I can see every camera angle, every corner of the club. I watch Victoria at her table, holding court, telling stories, making people laugh. I watch Marcus near the bar, shaking hands with important-looking people in suits. I watch David sweating through his shirt, checking his watch, counting down the minutes until this disaster of a night ends. At 10 p.m., Marcus takes the microphone. The music stops. Everyone turns to look at him. "Thank you all for coming tonight," Marcus says. His voice booms through the speakers. "This is a huge moment for Technova. Our merger with Apex Systems represents the future of technology, the future of innovation, the future of everything we've been building." People clap. Victoria stands up at her table, clapping the loudest, beaming at her husband. "And I want to thank the Platinum Lounge for hosting us tonight," Marcus continues. "This has been our home away from home for the past few years, a place where we can relax, celebrate, and enjoy the finer things in life." More applause. I stand up from the desk. I close my laptop. I walk back downstairs, through the staff corridors, and I take my position at the coat check counter. At 11:30 p.m., my phone buzzes. It's a text from one of my investors, the one who hates Marcus the most. "The valet system is ready. Flip the switch whenever you want." I look up at the VIP section. I can see Victoria dancing, her silver dress spinning around her. I can see Marcus talking to a group of men, probably bragging about something. I open the valet management app on my phone. It's a third-party system that the Platinum Lounge contracts with. The security on it is pathetic. The password was literally password 123. I got in on my first try 2 weeks ago. I find Marcus's account. His black Tesla is listed with his license plate, his contact information, everything. I click on the vehicle status and change it to flagged. Unpaid violations. Tow risk. I hit save. 20 minutes later, Marcus and Victoria decide to leave early. They're both drunk, laughing too loud, bumping into people as they make their way to the exit. Victoria stops at my counter. "Coat," she says, snapping her fingers. She doesn't even give me the ticket. She just expects me to know which one is hers. I retrieve the silver coat and hand it to her. She doesn't say thank you. She never does. They walk outside, and I move to the small window where I can see the front entrance. I watch the valet attendant, a teenager named Kyle, check his tablet when Marcus hands him the ticket. I watch Kyle's face change as he reads the screen. I watch him say something to Marcus. I can't hear the words, but I can see Marcus's reaction. His face turns red. He's shouting now, jabbing his finger at Kyle's chest. Victoria is standing next to him, looking confused and annoyed. Other people leaving the club are starting to stare. The valet can't take the car. The system won't let him. If he takes a flagged vehicle, the insurance won't cover any damages. Those are the rules. Marcus has to park his own car. A man who probably hasn't parked his own car in 10 years has to get back in his Tesla, drive it down the street himself, and find a public parking garage. In the rain, in his expensive suit and his Italian leather shoes. I watch him drive away, and I allow myself a small smile. But that's just the beginning. The real move happens at midnight. I check my watch. 11:58 p.m. I walk to David's office. He's sitting at his desk, looking exhausted, probably calculating how much money the club lost tonight from unhappy guests. "David," I say from the doorway, "can I talk to you?" "Not now, Rachel," he says without looking up. "I have to write an incident report about tonight. Corporate is going to lose their minds." "There is no corporate anymore," I say. He looks up. "What?" Metropolitan Entertainment Holdings sold this building 3 days ago, I say. The new owner is RLM Holdings. That's me.
I'm RLM Holdings.
David stares at me like I just spoke in a foreign language. That's not funny, he says. I pull out my phone and show him the property deed. His eyes scan the document, and I watch his face go pale as he realizes I'm serious. You? He whispers. You bought the club? I bought the building, the liquor license, and the distribution contract, I say. I own everything except the business operations. And technically, you're in violation of the lease agreement, so I can terminate that too if I want. Why? David asks. Why would you do this? Because 3 years ago, Victoria and Marcus Chun destroyed my life, I say. And I spent 3 years learning how to return the favor. David opens his mouth to say something, but no words come out. You're not fired, I tell him. You're a good manager. You just worked for the wrong people. Starting tomorrow, you work for me. Your salary stays the same, but the rules are going to be very different. I pull out an envelope from my jacket and place it on his desk. This is the new code of conduct, I say. Read it tonight. Implement it tomorrow. First rule. Anyone who abuses staff gets banned permanently. No exceptions. I don't care how rich they are. I turn to walk away, but David calls after me. Rachel, wait. What are you going to do to them? I look back at him. I'm going to teach them what it feels like to lose everything, I say. One piece at a time. Sunday night. My last shift wearing this uniform. I arrive at 7 p.m., 3 hours before the club opens, because I have work to do. Real work. Owner work. The first thing I do is change the sign outside. The old sign says, The Platinum Lounge. Members only. I have a maintenance crew remove it and install a new one. This one says, The Platinum Lounge. Under new management. Next, I go to the VIP section. Victoria's favorite booth, the elevated corner spot where she sat every weekend for 3 years, has a structural problem. I didn't make up that problem. It's real. The support beam underneath has been slowly rotting for years, and nobody bothered to fix it because it would mean closing off the most profitable section of the club. I bring in an inspector. He takes one look and shakes his head. This needs to be shut down immediately, he says. If this beam gives out during a busy night, people could get hurt. So we close it? Ask. At least until we can reinforce it properly, he says. Could take a few weeks. I have the maintenance crew put up caution tape and safety barriers around the entire VIP booth. Big yellow tape that says, Danger. Structural damage. Do not enter. The club opens at 10 p.m. I'm back at my coat check station, wearing my uniform, wearing my red lipstick. David keeps looking at me from across the room, like he's not sure if last night was real or if he imagined the whole conversation. Marcus arrives first tonight. He storms through the front entrance, still angry about the valet situation from yesterday. He hands me his coat, but this time he actually looks at me. You, he says, you were here last night when that valet kid screwed up my car. Yes, sir, I say. Did you see what happened? He asks. I saw you had to park your own car, I say. That must have been frustrating. He stares at me for a long moment, and I can see his brain working, trying to place my face, trying to figure out why I look familiar. What's your name? He asks. Rachel, I say. Rachel what? Morrison. His eyes go wide. He takes a step back. You're the woman from that club. The glass house. That's right, I say. What are you doing here? He asks. His voice has an edge to it now, something close to fear. Working, I say. Or at least I was working. Now I'm managing. Managing what? This building, I say. I own it now. Marcus's face goes through about 5 different expressions in 3 seconds. Confusion, disbelief, anger, fear, then back to anger. That's impossible, he says. It's very possible, I say. Would you like to see the paperwork? It's public record. Victoria arrives before Marcus can respond. She's wearing a white leather coat tonight, expensive and pristine. She walks up to the counter and throws the coat at my face. The metal zipper catches my cheek and I feel the skin split open. A drop of blood runs down toward my jaw. Oops, Victoria says, her voice flat and cold. Slippery hands. Hang it up and try not to bleed on it. I don't move. I just stand there with her coat on the counter between us. Blood running down my face. Pick it up, Victoria snaps. No, I say. The word echoes in the space between us. People nearby stop talking and turn to look. Excuse me, Victoria says, laughing nervously. Did you just tell me no? I did, I say. I touch my cheek and look at the blood on my fingers. I said no. David, Victoria shouts, looking around frantically. David, get over here right now. David appears from the back hallway. He looks at me, then at Victoria, then back at me. David, this coat check girl just refused to do her job, Victoria says. Fire her. Right now. I want her escorted out of this building. David doesn't move. David.
Victoria screams.
Are you deaf? I said fire her. I can't do that, Mrs. Chen, David says quietly. Why not? Because she's the owner, David says. This way, folks, Marcus says. His voice is professional, but I can see the hint of a smile on his face. We're leaving, Marcus Chun says quickly, grabbing Victoria's arm. Come on, let's go. Pick up your coat first, I say to Victoria. She stares at me. You threw it at me, I say. Now you can pick it up from where it landed. I'm not doing that, Victoria says. Then you're leaving without it, I say. Your choice. There's a long silence. Everyone in the club is watching now. Phones are everywhere, recording every second. Slowly, Victoria bends down. Her knees crack. Her white dress strains at the seams. She reaches down and picks up her white leather coat from the floor. There's dirt on it now, scuff marks from people's shoes. She stands up, clutching the dirty coat to her chest. And for the first time since I've known her, she looks small. Happy now? She asks, her voice breaking. Not yet, I say. I reach into my jacket and pull out an envelope. I hand it to Marcus Chin. This is a formal trespass notice. You're both permanently banned from this property. If you return, I'll have you arrested. Marcus takes the envelope with shaking hands. Let's go, he says to Victoria. They turn toward the exit, but Victoria stops and looks back at me one more time. You're still just a coat check girl, she says. That's all you'll ever be. And you, I say calmly, are outside my building. Security escorts them through the main entrance. The heavy door closes behind them with a solid thunk. For a moment, nobody moves. Then someone in the back of the club starts clapping. Then another person. Then another. Within seconds, the entire club is applauding. I don't bow. I don't celebrate. I just walk behind the bar and grab a bottle of vodka from the new shipment that arrived this morning after I personally called the distributor and removed the credit hold. Drinks for everyone, I announce. On the house. The roar is deafening. But I don't stay for the party. I've never been much of a party person, even when I owned the glass house. I prefer the quiet moments, the planning, the building. I walk upstairs to the second-floor office, the one I claimed as my own. I sit down at the desk and I look at the security monitors showing every corner of the club. I see David looking relieved, loosening his tie for the first time all night. I see Jessica the server laughing with a customer, not afraid anymore. I see the whole ecosystem starting to heal itself. My phone buzzes. It's a message from one of my investors. Congratulations. What's next? I think about that question. What is next? I've spent 3 years planning this revenge. 3 years of living in a tiny apartment, eating cheap food, being invisible, taking abuse, documenting everything. And now it's done. But it's not really done. Revenge was just the foundation. Now I get to build something better. I type back. Now we expand. I want to buy 3 more properties in the next 6 months. I want to create a network of clubs where staff are treated with respect. Where people can't buy their way out of being decent human beings. Where workers have power. I like it, he responds. Send me the proposal. I look at my reflection in the dark window. I'm still wearing this cheap uniform, but tomorrow I'll order new ones for all the staff. Better quality, better fit, better pay. I pull out my old name tag, the one that says, Rachel Staff. I took it out of the trash yesterday because I realized I wanted to keep it. Not to wear, just to remember. I survived 3 years of being invisible. 3 years of being treated like furniture. And I used every single second of that time to learn, to plan, to build leverage. People think power is about being loud, being aggressive, being seen. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear, wait, and learn everything about the system while nobody's paying attention to you. When you understand how the system works, you don't need to break it. You just need to own it. I put the old name tag in my desk drawer and close it. Tomorrow I'll get a new name tag. One that tells the truth. Rachel Morrison, owner. And that's how you turn 3 years of humiliation into a business empire. Not with violence. Not with shortcuts. With patience, planning, and understanding that information is the most valuable thing in the world. If someone destroys your life, don't just get mad. Get educated. Learn how they did it. Learn the systems they used. Then buy those systems out from under them. It's not fast. It's not easy. But it works. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have a business to run.